Okay, so we're on to step 2 of the RPG Keys and Riley Photographic workflow using Lightroom. In the first step, we've created our file and folder structure that's consistent throughout our entire job. From job to job, we use the same hierarchy of folders so that any employee can kind of pick up where the other has left off. In step 2, we're going to create a job-specific Lightroom catalog. We do have a master Lightroom catalog that's used for searching and querying all of our images, but in our studio, we have found it beneficial to have one Lightroom catalog for every job. And for our portrait customers, we have one Lightroom catalog for every client. So if that client hires us multiple times a year, all the images go into that client's folder. But for weddings, every single wedding has its own Lightroom catalog. In step 1, you may recall that we created a folder called Lightroom, or LR. In this folder, we are going to create, or we are going to save the Lightroom catalog. So let me show you how to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and open up Lightroom right now. You're going to see, again, you should be familiar, the Sue and Jeff folder on my desktop. And I'm going to open up Lightroom. Now when you open up Lightroom, it's going to always open up with the last Lightroom catalog that you had open. In fact, it's also, if you left Lightroom in the library or the develop or the slideshow module, it's going to return you to that same module. So you'll see here today I did a wedding show and I was creating a slideshow. The Maine Wedding Association, I created a slideshow using the slideshow module of Lightroom. It has opened me back up into Lightroom in the slideshow module. So you've got, again, just for those of you who are new, you've got the library module. This is where we go through our images and we decide which ones are keepers. The develop module, this is where we make our manipulations for the most part. We've got the slideshow module, which is where we're going to produce YouTube videos, Vimeo videos of the sort. We've got a print module and a web module. And we're not going to get into the print or web modules in these series of videos, but we will hopefully cover both library, develop, and slideshow. So the first step, again, remember I have not plugged in a camera yet. I have not downloaded a single thing. The first thing we need to do is create a brand new Lightroom catalog just for this customer. Because in my kind of ADD world, when I see all these folders on the left-hand side, my brain pretty much implodes. And I don't need any other distractions in my life. Chris and I run a number of businesses, and between tech support calls for RPG Keys and customer calls for Riley Photographic, we really just don't need any more distractions other than the fact that we ski and surf and ride our bikes all the time. We certainly are distracted enough. So here we go. So before I've done anything else, I've created my folders. The next step is going up to the File menu and hitting New Catalog. It is the first item. It's the same on a Mac as it is on a PC. This will look a little different on a Mac versus a PC, but this is a window for creating. The top should say Create Folder with New Catalog. So I'm going to go and I'm going to navigate to my desktop. Again, a little different on a Mac as it is on the PC, and I'm going to find my customer folder. So mine, I think, was Sue and Jeff was the demo, and I'm going to double click on Sue and Jeff, and I of course can see all of the subfolders. Again, it looks different on a Mac as it does on a PC, but we're doing the same thing, so don't get confused because I'm on a Mac. I've created this folder called LR, which is short for Lightroom. I'm going to double click. Okay, so here at the top it's saying Save As. What do I want to create the folder or file that is the Lightroom catalog? So I'm just going to call it Sue, and N for short is my abbreviation for and Jeff. And it really doesn't matter what you call this. It's entirely insignificant. You could just call it Lightroom Catalog because it's this Lightroom Catalog, this file, like this Excel type database file, is going to always live inside of the Sue and Jeff folder. The Sue and Jeff job folder is the home forever and always for everything that is done for this customer. So I'm just creating a new Lightroom catalog inside of Sue and Jeff, inside of the LR folder, and I'm just calling it Sue and Jeff. And again, it just doesn't matter. So I'm going to hit Create. And when I do this, this is when if you're new to Lightroom, you're going to have a momentary lapse of anxiety because Lightroom is going to crash or close. and it's going to open, and every photo that you were working on previously is going to be invisible. So I'm going to go ahead and hit create. So here goes Lightroom. It's closing. It's now opening. It's already created the new catalog. And here we are. We've got the new Lightroom catalog, and it's empty. So don't freak out if you had photos in here before and all of a sudden they're gone. You didn't lose a thing. They're just in a different Lightroom catalog. If you're having that anxiety, go up to your File menu, go to Open Recent, and you're going to see whatever Lightroom catalog you had open previously, the next item below the one that's checkmarked. But we're in the new Sue and Jeff Lightroom catalog, and it's time to plug in our camera and import our photos for the first time. So my business partner Chris does this from a set of daisy-chained Firewire CF cards. For this demo, I'm going to go ahead and do this with a camera. So I've plugged my camera in. Chris did a photo shoot at a school last week, so you're going to see some pictures of some children, one of which is my child. So please no snickering in the background. Okay, so we're in the library module of Lightroom, and on the bottom left, we're going to hit the import button. I'm also going to turn my camera on, which happens to be plugged into my computer. And Aperture is going to open because we also work with Aperture, but not for this video. And I'm going to hit import. So the meat and potatoes of this video is all about this window here. This is the import dialog box. This is for Lightroom 3. It's a little bit of an upgrade from Lightroom 2. What you need to know about Lightroom, for those of you who are new to Lightroom, is that it is kind of very left to right, top to bottom centric. So if you start in the top left of any screen and you work your way either down or to the right and then down, you pretty much can't go wrong. So we're going to start here. It says from. Where do we want to import these photos from? And it's found my Canon Mark III camera. If you were doing this from a CF card and didn't find them, you could go click this little teeny tiny hard to see triangle right here, and you could click other source, and you could go and you could navigate for another source. Maybe you were moving photos from a different hard drive. It's going to find them over here. Okay? But for the moment, it found my camera, so I'm going to go ahead and import these photos from the CF card that's plugged into my camera. For this demo, I'm going to uncheck all the photos, and I'm going to just select the ones of my daughter Ella. Again, no comments, please. So we've selected a source. That's the first most important thing. More times than not, in our business, we just select all, because of course, why would we import some of the photos? Which is really easy. You just click right here, the check all photos item. But now we need to tell Lightroom what we're going to do with the photos. Are we going to copy the photographs, converting them to DNGs as one option? Are we going to just copy the photographs? Are we going to move the photographs? Or are we going to add the photographs to the Lightroom catalog without moving them? So if your photographs are already on your hard drive and they don't need to be moved, then you're going to want to select the Add button. Okay? But in our workflow, where we're always downloading using Lightroom from a CF card, okay, or from our camera, we're going to select the option for Copy. And the reason we do this is computers freak out every once in a while, and we don't want to ever lose anything. So we don't want to actually move anything off of the CF card. It seems it's just a little bit of an insurance policy. So we've got to effectively, once we've started this process, we've got a duplicate copy on our CF card, and now we've got a duplicate copy on the hard drive. So we always select the option for Copy. Okay, so we've started at source, now we've said what we're going to do, and now we need to say where it's going to go, and this is really important. So the default location on any computer on a Mac is the Pictures folder, and on a PC is the My Pictures folder. Now, if you don't change this, you're going to have a hard drive that fills up instantly if you're a busy photographer. So again, over here on the right, you need to say where you're going to go. So I'm going to click on this little triangle, and I'm going to select Other Destination. Now, again, different on a Mac as it is on a PC, but we're doing the same thing. So I'm going to select my desktop. Of course, I've already said a couple times that everything we do for this job goes in the customers folder. So we're going to go find Sue and Jeff, and we're going to select originals. We call it raw or originals. This means unedited photos right out of the camera. So we're going to double click, and we're going to go down here and we're going to hit choose. Okay, so now you can see, it might be hard in the YouTube video, but you can see that it's actually showing the file path. Um, so we've said where they're coming from, what we're doing what we're doing with the images, which images we want, which is normally all of them, and where they're going. Okay. Now we have a couple of other choices to make here, and bear with me because this is a little dry for those of you who already know Lightroom, but we need to say what we want to do. And again, this is a top to bottom. Lightroom is left to right, top to bottom oriented program. So the first thing is file handling. For those of you who are new to Lightroom, one little trick or one little tidbit that most people don't know is that Lightroom, the library module of Lightroom, can only handle a standard preview, whereas the develop module works on a one-to-one preview. Don't ever bother with minimal preview because that's a thumbnail. So in RStudio we always select standard. What this does is Lightroom looks at the resolution of your computer screen and generates a preview or a look, if you will, a glimpse of what the image should look like on your computer screen at your computer screen's resolution. So we always select standard because it lets Lightroom kind of be the boss. I often select don't import suspected duplicates because if I shoot JPEGs and RAWs, personally I don't want them both. Okay, Chris and I shoot RAW for the most part, but on occasion like this job here where it's studio lighting we shot JPEGs. Now, another great feature of Lightroom is the ability to back up. Now for this demo I've plugged in just a standard LaCie drive, but in our studio we have a 2 terabit drive that just houses all of our raw images, all of our unedited images. And this is a great set of redundancy. So when we check mark this box right here, so I'm going to hit check mark and now I'm going to say where I want it to go. So I'm going to hit choose folder and I'm going to click LaCie and I'm going to just hit choose. Okay, so I've just said send a second copy of every one of these images to the LaCie drive. And again in our studio it says 2011 raw. So by doing that I've got a copy in my Jeff and Susan, I've got a copy on my original CF cards, and now I have a third copy on the LaCie drive. Or again, should normally be in our studio, it's the 2010 or 2011 raw files. It's again an insurance policy. I just can't imagine losing files. We've never done it. We've never lost files, knock on wood, and that's because they're always living in 3 locations at any one time. Okay, so that's our file handling. We're going to minimize that. We're going to go to file naming. If you've ever had Aunt Lucy call you and tell you that she doesn't like the image that you made black and white, if you've ever had that experience, if you rename your files when you're done with Lightroom to something different than the images are on the CF card, you might have experienced the difficulty of having to find an image based on the red sweater with the sun setting, with the blue hair and the green teeth. It's a disaster. Finding an image that a customer describes for you so that you can make a new copy or undo an edit or make a change or crop it differently is a disaster. So in RStudio, Chris and I rename our photographs when we import. So in the file naming section, I'm going to click rename. We do this, I think, very cleverly, and you may disagree, but let me show you how we do it. So Chris and I have picked a naming structure that is very unorthodox, but it's because a bride and groom or a customer would never know what we've done. So I'm in the renaming file template editor here in Lightroom. I'm going to hit cancel. Again, I'm just going to go up to, I'm in the file naming, I'm going to click file name, and I'm going to click edit, and here we are. So what we do is we use the metadata from the camera, from the images, to name the files. So we name our files, again, hour, okay, and I click up here, I'm going to put a dash, minute, dash, second. So the example might be, 01 40 24. So 1 o'clock, 40 minutes, 24 seconds. Okay, and if you've taken 2 photographs in the same second, because one of our cameras does 10 frames a second, it'll just put a -1, -2 on the end of the images. We do this because we don't show our customer every image. We want our edited images to have the same file name as our originals, and we don't want a customer realizing that the photos go from 101 to 119, and they've lost 18 photos that we haven't shown them. So they feel there's an opportunity there for disappointment, and we don't want that. So we name our files hour-minute-second, and they always live inside of the customer folder. So there's no need to put a customer name, although we could put Sue Jeff, okay, and hour-minute, but we're not going to do that because we don't do that. So here we go. I'm going to save this. Now in the file name template editor, I'm going to go ahead and save this because this is what Chris and I constantly use. So up here at the top, I'm going to select Save Current Settings as a new preset. And I'm going to call this RPG Naming because this is the Riley Photographic or RPG Keys. This is how we name our files. And I'm going to hit Create. And I'm going to hit Done. So forever and always, I no longer ever have to go through the rigmarole of selecting how I'm going to rename my files. When I'm in the import wizard here, I'm always going to see RPG naming, and I'm going to select it. So at that point, I'm good to go. There's some other menus here that you should explore, but we've already selected the originals folder, and my camera ran out of batteries for this demo. Good times. Stand by. Nothing ever goes simple when you're on screen. All right, let's see if we can get it back here. My camera was in my garage and the battery's cold. I have no one to blame but myself. Here we go. So I'll show you how quick it is. Select uncheck all. I'm just going to select 4 photos of Ella to import. I'm going to copy them. So the source, what we're doing with it, where they're going, I need to say that real quickly. They're going to my desktop. They're going to Sue and Jeff. They're going to originals. I apologize. Didn't expect my camera to run out of batteries. I'm going to pick my renaming, RPG renaming, and I'm going to do my file naming. Probably a good little review for those of you who are new, and I'm going to hit import. Okay, so here they come. So if you have a really large CF card, this is totally the time to go get a cup of coffee because this is going to take 15 minutes. If it takes you longer than 15 minutes, you got a problem, and call me. Let me know if I can help you. This is just not as long a process as it could be. So there it is, folks. Video 2, a little long-winded, but this is how we import our photos using Lightroom, renaming our files, the previewing that we use. In the next video, we're going to go through how we decide which photograph to show a customer. Okay, there it is.